I have people call me and they're like, so I wanted to get into flipping, and I'm like, I'm out. Like, I would love to be your listing agent, but if to be your listing agent, I have to bring you a good deal, like, I'm not going to be your listing agent, and I'm okay with that. Like, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have been like, I'm so hungry for it, like, I'll do whatever. But then it was like during that time, I just got so like exhausted.
You're listening to the Lever Up Your Life podcast. Each episode, I bring on guests to share their strategies and secrets for leveraging their knowledge, resources, and contacts to lever up their lives. We unpack real-world numbers, mistakes, and wins so you can flip faster, borrow smarter, and build wealth with confidence. Let's dive in.
We just wrapped up our call, Caylee and I, on this week's episode. And one of the things that I really enjoy and relate to in Caylee's story is just constant iterations and constant growth. Both of us, I think, can relate in that we had struggles through different types of real estate strategies, etc. But a lot of it comes down to sticking with it, reframing your experiences to take away the positive from every situation and bring it into the next. And Caylee also shed some really good information and knowledge regarding flipping in Tampa Bay, short-term rentals, stuff about permits, regulations, risk mitigation. And we do also talk a lot about novations, which is something that she has really specialized in lately. This is a great episode. Make sure to tune in, and I'm eager to see what you guys think about the show. Anything that you learn or any questions you have, you can go ahead and drop those in the comments. We'll catch you in. Welcome back to the Lever Up Your Life show, where I intentionally bring on guests to share their strategies and secrets for leveraging their knowledge, resources, and contacts to lever up their lives. This week, I'm joined by Caylee, and I'm still getting used to your new last name, Robles. So welcome on.
Everybody says it wrong. But yeah.
I said it wrong? Dang, bro. I've heard people said your last name wrong too.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah. And James called me at one point, and he left me a voicemail, and he was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I've been saying your last name wrong. Or he got to my voicemail, and I didn't know I had changed it, so he randomly left, I didn't know I've been saying your last name wrong, and I was like, what's going on? Why are you? I was like, oh, okay, my voice got it. Last name. Like Robles Park in Tampa, everyone says it wrong. If somebody speaks Spanish or not.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, like first language, I should say.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a Spanish speaker, but I dabble.
No, you dabble. That's why I was like, no, you're not like beginner. You at least like know your stuff a little bit.
So the rest of the podcast is going to be in Spanish. Tune in. No, so to get you introduced here to the show, I intentionally bring on people who have levered up their lives, which means right now you're not at where you used to be, and something happened along the way that got you from point A to point B as a respected real estate investor and professional, right? So I'm just going to open up the floor to you. Share the story of
how did we get there?
Yeah, how did you start? Like, where was the starting point for Caylee?
In my background, so I graduated in 2018, and it's been like a transition after transition ever since then. So we're 7 years out now. I went to school for accounting. In 8th grade, I was like, I'm gonna be an accountant. And then I got to college. I went to school for accounting. I got there, I was like, I've already done 2 levels or 2 classes. I'm good to go. And then got my master's, because I went there and they're like, you get your master's with accounting, you get your CPA, go big or go home. And I was like, okay, I like a challenge. So I did that. Interning, I audited a real estate company, and they were student apartments, and I loved it. I was like, it was really cool. Student housing, large buildings would be cool to get into. And so I went back for my master's, took some real estate courses, and then when I started as a CPA auditing, I just hated it so much. And I was working 75 hours a week. I lived in Austin. I had just moved to Austin. I had no friends. I had my sister, and I started with only a couple people, and everyone, I had one friend and my sister, and then I was working 75 hours a week. And so at like 10 p.m. or like every day at like 10 p.m. when I was still in the office working, I would just move over to like Indeed or like different places and I'd be looking up real estate and I would like randomly laugh and they're like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, oh, like, I can't tell you because it's like me like doing like application stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like didn't even know, like at the time I had no idea what real estate, like where I wanted to be in real estate. So 4.5 years ago was like the beginning of 2021. So at this point, my Deloitte job to UI, which, if you know, accounting, that's like Big Four. I had been making more money, but I like still just absolutely hated it. And at that point, companies go public. So I was doing all their financials so that when they were doing IPOs, which was like everyone was doing IPOs at the beginning. Yeah. So I was doing the financial statements for them. And so beginning of 2021, I was like, all right, I'm going to like I need to change something. And so in April, I stopped drinking alcohol. I was like, I'm going to do 30 days. I'm not going to drink alcohol. Every weekend, I'm going to like take this commercial real estate course and I'm going to teach myself how to underwrite. So I did that. And then like, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm going to keep like pushing further, whatever this is. And I started real estate.
Let me dive into that a little bit. So,
yeah,
you know, fresh out of college, right? Did you party at all in college or no?
I mean, I'm from Wisconsin. Like, I started drinking when I was 14. So, like, by the time I got to college, I'd already been like, it was normal, you know, like where I was normal. So, and then I went to the University of Wisconsin. Like, yeah. So I feel like by 25, I was like, I'm good. Like I've had my fun in the sun.
Were you around anybody that influenced you in that way that was like, were you looking towards anyone or in any type of community that was like, hey, like you can do more with your life. You don't have to accept the default. Or is this just something that you kind of registered in your own mind of like, I don't like where I'm at. I don't like where this is going and I have to change this.
Yeah, so when I stopped drinking, it wasn't at that point, I was 25. I wasn't actually even like partying like I used to in college. It was just that like I would go out and I'd have a couple of drinks and I would wake up kind of like nauseous. Like I knew at a young age that my body didn't like alcohol more than other people's did. And so there was nobody else around me. I was the only person. Honestly, it was like almost like a morning. Once I decided was going to stop drinking, I actually didn't tell everyone right away because it was like, even to this day, I still think about like, it's a morning of a culture. Like I don't have that culture anymore of like cheersing with a shot. Sometimes it's uncomfortable if I go to cheers my glass with somebody and they're from a different culture and they're like, ooh, I don't like to cheers with water. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's how you connect with people. So yeah, to this day, the only person I know that doesn't drink alcohol is my mom. And that's because I did it. And then I loved it so much that she was like, I'm going to do it too. And so now her and I have both stopped drinking. Everybody else around me does.
So
yeah.
Okay. So at this point, like you kind of taken what seems like a first step in really like changing the course of your life between stopping drinking and doing the commercial underwriting. But like, where did you pivot from there? Because I mean, I've been in similar places where it's like, hey, this is where I'm at right now. And leaving that for uncertainty is like, it's pretty scary. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, I'll back up real quick. I was into Bigger Pockets, like online. I wasn't listening to Bigger Pockets episodes at that point yet, but I was doing like, I think my aunt gave me like the login. So I was like looking at stuff online and I had reached out to an Colorado because I was like, thinking of moving to Denver. So I was like, maybe I'll get a duplex there. So I was trying to go forward with that. And then I started interviewing at like CBRE. I had friends that were in real estate at those places in Colorado. So I was kind of trying to transition my life to Colorado to do that. And the reason why I didn't is because I started out working at $55,000 a year. So like I had a CPA, my master's, I was working 75 hours a week, making 55. And I was like,
great. That's great.
Wasn't expecting this. I thought I was going to be like at 100. Like I had very unrealistic expectations. So I started there. I got bumped up to like 85 at UI and had unlimited PTO. My job, but I was like, I'm the girl that takes PTO. I don't feel bad about it. I take it because I work hard. I'm not doing that, right? So I was making more money, and like they had just bumped me up to like 95. That was going to be like where I was at. But I was like, I am so unhappy. Like every single day, I hate what I do, and I just can't do this anymore. And I know it's going to take me a while to get successful in my next thing. So I have to just like rip the band-aid off and do it. But the reason I didn't go commercial is because they were like, yeah, you start at 35 with the potential to make like hundreds of thousands later, but you start at 35 and you are going to be here every day and it's all in office. And I had just gotten my dog. I was like, I think it was honestly my dog that I was like, I just can't do that. Like, there's just like, can't do that. Yeah. So I had like, I got this random, I don't even remember how I found it, but I applied for a short-term rental company. They are like a travel luxury company. Like, imagine if Airbnb actually leased out every single property so that you know that you're getting the exact same, and it's for ultra like wealthy people. Like you pay $5,000 a month just to be a part of it.
Got it.
And so I was underwriting for them. So they basically were like, you're going to get unlimited PTO. We're going to give you a little bit of a pay cut, but I was still like benefit, salary. Like it was a way for me to even go into real estate, like completely do what I've done, where it's like, you've got nothing. Start no money.
I didn't even know, I mean, until I was kind of preparing for this podcast, I didn't even know that you had a background in short-term rentals. Was that, like, what happened with that? Was that not very long-lived, or?
Yeah, none of my jobs have been long-lived. So I think I was at Deloitte for 18 months, EY a year, Inspirato. I just hit a year left in NewWestern. I don't know. I feel like I talk about it with my clients just to let them know that like I have some type of experience. Like I don't own a short-term rental, but I spent a year underwriting them. And that job, like the reason why I left is it's just like, I think it was my first example of like, maybe, I don't know if like ethics is the right word, but like I was doing things that was making me feel uncomfortable. Like I was underwriting property, and I was, as the underwriter, I was between the property manager and the salesperson. And I actually got a bonus for every person that we signed. So like I had an incentive to sign as many people. But I care less about money than like doing the right thing. So I'd be working with the property manager and she'd be like, Caylee, like we're not going to make that much money. The expenses are more expensive that the sales agent is saying. And so we would get more strict, and then we'd get pushback from the sales agent. And I kept getting pushback on the sales side to just like make it work. And I felt really uncomfortable with that. And so I was like, I want to be able to make more money. I want to move into a different role. They didn't really have the opportunity for me to move up or anything. And so that was like another thing where all of a sudden, like, I'm online and then NewWestern pops up and I'm like, okay, time to kick it into gear again.
Yeah. So. I think what you just mentioned is kind of the crux of a lot of problems in real estate specifically. It's like, I want to do the right thing for my clients, but I also want to make money. And you get into a market like 2025 where it's like, there's just not a lot of deals that make sense. There's a lot of people who aren't buying anymore because they're like me, freaking properties tied up that you can't move. And so it's really hard to be like in my position, like I want people to buy fix and flips, but it's like, I don't want to do one deal with you. I want you to make a lot of money and then we'll do 2 deals. So be patient. I tell people not to buy deals all the time, which isn't great for my income today. Thankfully, I'm in an industry that it over time, it helps, right?
But it's like over years, and I feel like most people aren't willing to wait years, you know? That's the hard part.
Staying power is something that isn't talked about enough. Like your first year in any kind of like, I think anything where you eat what you kill in real estate, your first year, I think is all about building your reputation and your expertise. And you're probably not going to make very much money. And probably you just have to hang around long enough for the clients that you want, whoever it is they're working with, for them to mess up or fumble and be the first person they think of. Like most of my clients, everyone who's good already has a hard money lender. Everyone who's good already has an agent. Everyone who's good already has a property manager. Like they have their team. It's only when somebody fumbles the bag that they're going to be like, all right, who's next? You need to be that person who you're next. And that doesn't really happen in the course of a year, like very, very rarely. Most of my clients, I talk to them periodically for over a year before we actually had serious conversations, right?
Wow. I mean, I think you kind of alluded to this earlier about the market and stuff. I feel like you're in a situation, like your position specifically, I don't think I could be in anymore because maybe I'll change as the market gets better, but when new people call me, because like you're great for new people, right? Like you're perfect for training people, all that stuff. Like I think you're also different because that's not all you're doing, but you're really like on the pulse in terms of like new deals
Pretty
coming
much
up.
all I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I have people call me and they're like, so I wanted to get into listing, and I'm like, I'm out. Like I would love to be your listing agent, but if to be your listing agent, I have to bring you a good deal, like I'm not going to be your listing agent, and I'm okay with that. Like I think a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have been like, I'm so hungry for it, like I'll do whatever. But then it was like during that time, I just got so like exhausted. Like I'm just like, most don't work that you're seeing on the MLS, or if they do work, like you have to be willing to put in a lot of offers. You have to be willing to lose out on a lot of deals. Like James says, you have to follow up like so many times on deals. And for me, like I've been lucky that I've gotten other business so that I can say no to those things because it's just my heart is not in it anymore. When people are like, I'm a new flipper.
Good luck. I think so. This is actually a reframe that I have to like teach people is they get like super bummed out if their offer's not accepted and somebody else's. And I'm like, no. You shouldn't be excited if your offer's accepted unless you're really excited about breaking even and putting money to work and risking a lot. Because usually the people who get their offers accepted, like that's exactly what ends up happening. And ask me because I know, because those people don't talk to me, put something in a contract, and then 8 months later, I'm like, dude, you have to price cut. Like you're still on market.
Oh my gosh. That's the thing. Yeah, and like so I think we can talk about this later too, but like I do a lot of listings for distressed properties, like through Novation, like through an investor that I work with. Not all of them are Novation. Sometimes he owns them, but people are like, they'll reach out to me on Instagram. They're like, put me on your cash buyer list. And I'm like, I don't have a cash buyer list anymore because I would never, ever recommend any of my people buy it at the prices that these people are buying it on the market. Like I would not feel good about it. And so that's why it's another thing for me where I'm like, I'm and do the deal because I have a responsibility to my client to get the highest price, but I'm not going to like screw over other buyers like intentionally in the meantime, like it's up to them buyers that I don't know to decide what they want to pay for it.
What percentage, if we're going to talk about Tampa Bay specifically, what percentage of cash as in sales in the MLS do you think end up selling for over what they quote unquote should to be a good deal for, let's just say, a fix and flip?
Oh, wow. So I actually don't do that many in Tampa. I'm kind of all over the state of Florida. Like I just got one in Newport recently and like, oh my God, it was so much fun. Like we priced it competitively on purpose. And then there was an occupant in there. So we had like 20 showings in like within a half hour. Like we had, like, it was like, we packed the house. It was fun.
So zoom it out to Florida. What percentage of stuff
all of Florida?
Yeah.
What it should, like that, it all comes down to how you list it though. That's why it's like so important to have a good listing agent. And so like my investor he's an investor, he's an agent, he does it all. But every single time we like do a listing, he's like, where do you think we should price at? And I'm like, I think it could sell at 185, but let's list it at like 165 because if I'm wrong, we'll bring it back up. But if I'm wrong and it's like less than what we listed at, we're going to sit on the market. And so we're always going below what we think it's going to be at to purposefully, we want to get as many offers and pin them against each other. Like that is like what I'm trying to do on every single distressed property.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I feel like everything that I do typically like in those situations, like sometimes we have condos and mobile homes and like sometimes they're not like distressed. And so it's not really the same, but for distressed, we typically always go over what we were anticipating. Maybe I'd say like 90% because there's been some with the market this year where we were like, oh geez, that was a lot worse than we thought. But they're like in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah. That's I have a deal listed right now in Parrish, and we have a better product in the house that literally just sold across the street for I think it sold for $580. We're like, hey, we're gonna be super aggressive. 35, probably appraises at like 550, 560. No showings. I was like, what in the world? It's just tough.
Parish, I feel like that's pretty up and come, or like maybe up and coming, but like I feel like I've been hearing it a lot more lately. I had
Yeah,
sellers that just,
I'll be honest. I'd never heard Parish as a city until I got sent a deal there, and I was like, send in an offer 100K under asking, and we'll see. And then it actually was like, yeah, we would take it. I was like, all right,
you're
well,
like, oh shit, was it?
I need
So
it a little bit lower. But
you're
that's
like, damn,
actually
it
what
didn't go low
happens.
enough.
Somebody hit me up.
Yeah.
They wanted to wholesale it, and I was like, hey, not a lot of comps. Like, I don't even know where Parish is, but like, offer a little bit less or a little bit more than 100K under asking. And I was just like, whatever. Like, at least, like, you know, that ends this conversation. Like, then I can move on to stuff that's real. Accepted instantly. First phone call, accepted.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's crazy. And then is it build? I feel like Parish homes are like newer.
Yeah, I want to say like a 2004 build or something like that.
Okay,
Steel
decent.
construction, which I'm like, I didn't even know they did that. That's cool.
Is it like where it's like empty on the inside, but it's like the airplane stuff, like the same material that airplanes are made out of?
No. Like, you wouldn't be able to tell. It looks like a
Okay.
normal construction. I guess it's just superior build quality to frame, or, you know, some
Yeah.
equivalent.
It doesn't rot. It doesn't like, I don't know if it's steel, but one of my friends is like working on manufacturing and like distributing. Like they're basically like cubes. They almost look like a block, but inside I'm pretty sure they're steel or something like metal. They look like a block, and then on the inside there's nothing. So they're like flood resistant, termite, all that stuff, like resistant.
Yeah, that's
Hate
cool.
that, but-
From your experience with SDRs, I want to ask about both SDRs and then just flipping, like any kind of short-term strategy, whether that's build or flipping in Florida. One, like, do you still think there's opportunity in STR? And then two, like, if somebody's listening to this who I mean, even if they're experienced or new, are you like, yeah, I think you can succeed doing whether it's build to sell or fix and flip right now in Florida? Like, I like that or I don't. What's your perspective?
Yeah, so I feel like I've become really like the like rain cloud. Like I feel like when people call me, I'm like just a I have a GC who I've gotten like close with because he does a lot of stuff for me, and like I call him for problems and then he calls me for like investing side, and he called me, he's like, I think I want to buy something, like I don't know if I want to do a flip or a new build, or like I have no idea. I'm already working with an agent, and like I'm kind of just looking at everything, and I was like, don't look at everything. Like go network, figure out what you want to do, and then get like super niche on it. Like,
Yeah.
I think people that are really niche right now are gonna succeed. And so, but like on the general level, if somebody's like, I'm interested in short-term rentals, or like I'm interested in flipping, and they're not tight on their numbers, like they don't know exactly what it's gonna cost plus a 10% margin, and then on the listing side, they're not there, and then also a 10% margin, or maybe not 10%, but like 5% for like, maybe 5% might be too high, but like concessions and stuff like that. Like concessions are almost like on every single deal that I do retail now for. And even like with underwriting, like in terms of like making sure that it's like the perfect property, it's not on a main road, it like there's not anything that might like stick out as weird for a buyer. Like I just think that if you are willing to learn for a year and do nothing and just learn for a year and be under people that are like actually doing it, then I would say, yeah, that's a great idea. But I feel like people typically, there's like something they're not willing to do, right? So like in this situation, like with the GC that reached out to me, I'm like, I get that you're a GC and you know your numbers really well, but what you need is a realtor that's going to run your numbers on the other side really well and bring you a deal at a really good price. You need to buy low and be able to sell at what you actually are like calculating, right? But I don't do that anymore, and I don't know any other agents that do that. So I'm like, this is what you need, but I actually don't have an answer for you. Like I can't. And then for short rentals, like, so I've never owned a short-term rental. I've just done the underwriting for them. I personally think that it's one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna go all out on it and you're running your numbers conservatively, it could be really awesome. There's so much, like even in Pinellas County, like I have a listing right now in Seminole where they've been running it for the last 3 years. and they changed it where you only have 10 occupants, and it's a 4-bed, 3-bath, like it can hold up to like 16 people. And now technically in the county, you can't have 10 people legally. So
Really?
we went to sell it, and I actually didn't even know that when we went to sell it. And somebody pointed that out to me. They want to put in an offer at the price that you're willing to accept, but we actually realized that we don't want it anymore because it's too much risk. And so we're like, damn.
So what was, you cut out like right when you said the number of people that would be allowed in a
10. So
Dang.
the Airbnb that I have listed fits like 14 to 16, and it's like families that are like coming together, like multiple families typically.
Yep, that's a move.
Max is now 10.
2 families.
Yeah.
Smallish families.
2 families. Yeah, exactly.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
I think Airbnb is one of those things where it kind of comes down to every deal, every strategy. Well, I mean, if you buy it cheap enough, it works.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can overpay for any type of deal. But the one thing that's just super, super tricky about those is you're really, usually, unless you buy it really, really cheap, you're riding a one-trick pony, and a lot of it is not in your control if things go poorly. And like I bought a sub 2 recently, and I understand how that feels, because in a different way that's also one trick pony. Like, hey, this deal only works, I mean, I could exit other ways, but it wouldn't really be great. It only works if the rate stays. And by the way, like, I have very little control over that. Like, I can
If the rate stays, is it adjustable?
No, but I mean, in theory, like, yeah, I'm doing the necessary steps to not get a no call due, but I mean, I can't really prevent that. I can mitigate it. I mean, same thing with Airbnb. You can do your due diligence, you can mitigate it. But I also know somebody who accidentally like put 150K into a property to find out that, oh, look, you can't Airbnb it. Red tagged on day 2. So it's just tough. I feel like the move is buying those not inside any kind of city limit. Like way out there. That's like a dope experience.
Yeah, I think people have bought in like HOAs or like in Pinellas County. There's so many people that, like, to me, I feel like, let me just summarize this. I feel like this is flipping and short-term rental. Like, going forward, I do everything by the book. And so like, I feel like if you're gonna do an investment strategy and like making money, you have to go by the book. Like, even if you don't go by the book, you have to make sure that you could go by the book and still make money on it. Does that make sense? So like, with flippers that are like not pulling permits, and then now they're getting red tagged, and like they're not, it's just like, why wouldn't you pull a permit? Like, I get it, like it's annoying, but to me personally, I feel like in the state of Florida, there's so many people doing unpermitted stuff that like could be dangerous for other people. So I'm pro permits. I know like they definitely need to make it easier, but to me, it's like not pulling permits when you're flipping, or like not like even like calculating for that time, or like adding that into the budget. And then on the short-term rental side, like what if they change the regulations here? So, like being in a place like you said that they're not, that would never be an option for them to change it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that point. What's funny, I had a not great mentor as my first real estate mentor, and I was managing his whole portfolio of short-term rentals, like midterm rentals, short-term rentals. All of them were illegal. And he's like, hey, it's a moat. Nobody else will do this because it's illegal. And I was like, so like, what happens if it changes? And he's like, I don't think about that. I'm like, that is
until the market shifts and then people like go and give you restrictions on your HOA or on your short-term rental, and all of a sudden you're like in this spot where you're losing money on everything.
Yeah. And to bring back the point of, I actually want to dive into 2 things really quick that you brought up. This is so good. This is so good. Okay. So 1, permits. I will not go on anything recorded and say I don't pull permits. Okay. But I will say that there are some risks that people really don't understand about that, which includes after you sell the house, if the seller gets stuck with some kind of something comes up about a permit, like you can definitely find yourself in a pinch for that as the person who did the work. So that's number 1 that a lot of people don't think about in regards to permits. 2, specifically.
What do you mean? Like it's going to be worse if you do a permit because now they're coming back to you for it? Or
No. Like if I go, let's say in Pinellas, and it depends on the municipality. I'm not an expert on when exactly you would need a permit or not. But let's just say that I add a bedroom and it's unpermitted and you need to have a permit. I flip the house, I sell it. 6 months later, the city's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I'm red tagging the homeowners. Unpermitted, you have to resolve it. I mean, what do you think that they're going to do? Just be like, yeah, let me pay all these fines. That's great. Probably not. Like, they're probably going to be like calling up the agent and backtracking whoever flips it and be like, yo, you need to fix this.
Yeah.
I actually have heard of people adding to the contract language about like assumption of risk of anything like that to the buyers.
I like that. I've been adding like the way that the contract changed. I think it puts the risk on the buyer if there's any open permits. Like they don't, is it open permits? Basically on the end of my, any additional terms now, I say like open permit. This is all pre-closing though, right? Because there's an issue in the contract where like it becomes the buyer's problem, but it's after inspection, so they can't cancel for it. And so it says like liens, code violations, or permits all have to be closed out at the seller's expense prior to closing. So that at least is on their end. But I like adding your language as well.
Not my idea, but I like it.
ChatGPT. I'll go on ChatGPT and get it.
The other thing in regards to contractors, I think that if I were to like put it in a box of my least favorite clients, contractors are usually one of them. And you'd be like, why? Like, what? Like, they know what they're doing. They know their numbers. They can get stuff done quickly. The problem is it's a twofold problem. The most common thing is a mindset issue where they're like, no. I can do the reno for way less. I'm going to do the work myself. And then they underwrite as though like, you know, taking 50% off for labor, which is two problems. One, like what? You're not going to pay the people that work for you. And then two, so you're going to make, if everything goes according to plan, the exact same amount of money that you would make if you didn't personally guarantee debt and wait anywhere from 3 to 12 months to get your paycheck. How is that worth it to you?
Yeah, so the way that I do it for everyone, and I say this for private money lenders as well, because it's the exact same thing. If you're going to buy your house in cash, you need to be running your numbers as if you were holding your money or like had a loan on it at 10%. Because it's like, if your money is just sitting there, you could then, if your money was sitting in your account, you could lend it out at 10%. Like to me, it's crazy when people like do it cash and they're like just making money. Like, all right, cool. And it's like, no, you shouldn't be paying more because you're not like getting on it. Same
You
thing
should
for
be paying less. You should be paying less.
You should be paying
with hard money. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I like see too. I'm like, when you're running numbers, you have to be running numbers for paying as a client. Otherwise, you're wasting time going and doing this when you could have your guys going and doing something else. So it's like, I always tell people like, you can't, or even on the listing side, people will be like, well, I'm going to list it, so I'm not going to give myself a percentage. It's like, why would you do that?
Yes, exactly. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
To transition some, are you allowed to talk about your time at NewWestern, or is that fully confidential?
Yeah. No, I think I had like a 1-year non-compete that I did not.
What were you doing there, and what were your biggest takeaways from your time at NewWestern?
Yeah, so at that point I had just moved to Tampa in May of 22. So from college to May of 22, I was in Austin, and then I moved here to live with my now husband. And it was crazy because I had gone from like working remote to all of a sudden like going into an office every day. But I started there as a sales agent. So I was doing, or like disposition. So I was selling properties to buyers. It was one of the takeaway. So at the time it was very difficult. Like I kind of got sold on like, it's so easy. Like you have to work, but like if you work, it's just going to be so easy. And I was like, well, I work. I love to work. Like, cool. This is going to be
easy money. Where?
Easy. So I went from a W to PTO, like unlimited PTO, I mean, benefit, all that stuff to like nothing. I still don't have insurance. I'll get it January 1st. But it's been like over 3 years, and I was driving a lot, doing all this stuff. And Oh, I started the week before Ian. So I am like calling people and they're like, we're boarding up our houses right now. Like we are getting ready for this hurricane coming our way. Like do not call me. And so I was like, okay. So, and then there's like the aftermath of hurricane or of Ian, right? So I start at a time where it was like, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to make money, and it's just like not happening. And then this was also the end of 2022. It was like September. And so it was like the peak was at the beginning of 2022. And then like it was by the time September came around, people were starting to feel it. And then Hurricane Ian happened and people really felt it. And so like the first 3 being there were like just so stressful. Like to this day, I've been like thinking back on that time. I'm like, I used to wake up in the middle of the night and go check my phone. Cause for anyone that doesn't know NewWestern, like every deal that you sell, all the other agents. So you, if you ever can get the first contract. And so I would wake up in the middle of the night and see if I had gotten a contract because I have to post it in the group chat to be like, you have to send a contract with the deposit. So it just gave me like so much anxiety. Like I had anxiety before, but it was like situational. And I think NewWestern put me into like permanent fight or flight. And so I loved being there. Like I loved working in the office. I made friends with the people that I was with. But that was a time where I was like, I put my head down and I like was grinding. Like I was listening to Bigger Pockets every single morning on my way to work. Like I got into it in order to help investors. Like I run numbers. I'm a CPA. Like I get that side. I'm going to help people. The ball started rolling at about 2 months. That's when they told me I'd start getting a deal. It's when I did start getting deals. But then I just had the worst luck. With NewWestern, you don't know what the split is until you post the deal. So until I get it signed and the deposit put in, I have no idea how much the split is. And I got my average split was like 7,500. And so I only get 15% of that. So I was making like less than $1,000 a deal. And over the 8 months that I worked there, I was top 3 out of everyone in St. Pete and Tampa. And I had made $30,000 in 8 months. I had like in my savings. I had no money. I had no benefits. Looking back now at the time, like I like had kind of a lot of anger towards it. Like I felt kind of like I had been conned, and it was like they tell you that you're gonna make $100,000 in your first year as a disposition agent there. Like they're like, if you just try, it'll be easy. So I was like, why am I making 30% of what they say? What I mean? Like it just didn't make sense to me. But now looking back, I'm like, it was meant to happen. Like I was not meant to get comfortable there. And by making that little money, it made it so much easier to leave. Like I felt a little bit bad because I was friends with my broker and like I was going to miss the culture being in the office with people, but I was like, I want to be able to sleep. And right now, like between the way that the contracts were set up and the way that some of my deals for my clients went south, like I could not sleep at night. Like I was having such a hard time. Like, just so much guilt around deals that I had sold to people that they had chosen to buy the deals. It wasn't my fault, but like it just felt like they were pressured into it because you gotta do it quick, and then all of a sudden they do the deal and it's like it ends up being more expensive than they thought or whatever. So yeah.
Well, we have very similar origin stories in wholesaling. I moved to Tampa with like no guaranteed income in the week that rates changed in 2022. The week.
When was it? What was the week? I honestly, before NewWestern, I never thought about interest rates.
So I flew down to Tampa for a week, and then I flew back to Michigan, got all my stuff, and then drove down. And I want to say it was the first or second week of May. And what was crazy is, the guys I was working with the week before turned over 100K of assignments that week with only like 3 people on the team. I didn't actually collect the check for like 4 months after that. Crazy.
Yeah, I think it was 3 months before I collected a check because I sold my first deal or like got my first contract. But I don't think I actually got even paid until January. It might have been almost 4 months before I like had the money in my account. So
brutal.
I feel that.
But it also is one of those things where take that story for both of us. We are both in positions where it's like we're definitely not where we were then, and it's really easy to get bitter about just want to quit about, etc., is situations where you think you're going to go into something profitable. And like, I never got slighted. Nothing like that. It just didn't, tough time in the market, wasn't really the right fit for me. But you look back on that and you choose to be grateful for the lessons that you learned, and you choose to decide how you're going to move forward from there into the next thing. So for you, what did you like coming out of that situation?
With my learn.
Yeah, like why didn't you quit
Yeah.
real estate?
I mean, I think if you asked me like 2 years ago, I would be like, well, because let me start real quick. Like, I loved real estate, like NewWestern. And I think that's a learning opportunity where I'm thankful for NewWestern. Like, during that whole time, like, I felt like I really learned so much during that 8 months. Like, it was like a crash course. Like, it was insane. I had so much training, and also like they have a lot of training, but also I was putting in the work. I was listening to the podcast, like creating my own files to underwrite. And I started doing project management for one of my buyers. So I started working on flip while I was there with no risk to me, right? I ended up not making any money from it, but to me, it was like, I was like, this is what I love. I want to flip myself. And so when I left NewWestern, the point of me leaving was to go start flipping on my own. And so that's why I left. I was like, I can do this better. I'm going to do it on my own. I don't need all these other people. I'm going to go like do stuff on the MLS. And like, I think that was all I was planning on doing at that time. I had so many wholesaler connections. So I was like, I'll get off market deals. I'm an agent. I'll look at the MLS. But then looking back now, like I just had this realization a couple weeks ago. Like, I'm like, I think I've closed 25 deals this year, and like off market, on market, and every single one of them traces back to NewWestern in some way.
Really?
Like, even you, it's like, I met you because I went to a networking event because either somebody I was at NewWestern or like somebody recommended. Like, at NewWestern, you would get points for going to events. And so like, I went to get points, but I also went because people get them on my list and learn. Like, I feel like most NewWestern agents go to networking events to get somebody on their list. Whereas I was like, I know that NewWestern's not my forever. And so I'm going to learn as much as I can in the next year so that I can like really like blossom. And so I met you, I met James. I feel like Taylor's the one that told me to go to that. Taylor Ledwith told me to go to that networking event. And then even like some of my other deals, like I've got the investment I work with now and all the innovations, like referral like came through there. And then a lot, like basically everyone I know, like I did my first innovation was from a whole that when I got him on my list at NewWestern. So it was like all of it comes back to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just did not feel that great for during, or like I would say a year after. I did not feel that.
Yeah. So we're starting to come up on time, and so I do want to talk a lot about novations because one, that's something that I feel it's a tool that people often abuse and use incorrectly. On the investor side, I think there's a lot of ways to drop the ball, and I also think that there's a very short list of agents that I would feel justify having a conversation with, and being like, hey, what are you seeing? You're on that list of people that's like, Caylee, I did what's up with novations. Like, let's talk about it. So one, let's just start off in your definition, because people have, I think people have different definitions of what a novation is. What is a novation? When is it a good tool for a seller and an investor?
Yeah, so my definition of a novation is when an investor gets a property under contract, right, to list it on the market. And within that, there's two different types. There's people that immediately just go list it on the market, and then there's people that are doing work to the property to then go get a higher price on the market, right? Mm-hmm. So that last one is what I kind of got sold on for novations. It's like you get it under contract, and then you come in and do paint and floor and some little things and make it look really better, like make it look a lot better, and then go on the market. But novations can work for distressed properties. They can work for anything, really. So I would say in terms of like what property, it's really just anything. There's like a little bit on it and you want to give the seller more money. So is it a good fit for the seller? I think it's a really good fit for someone who don't want to do anything, but they want cash off, right? So a lot of times they don't have to always be distressed, but sometimes they can be distressed and they don't even have money or photos. Like
Yeah.
they don't, and they don't have access to agents. Or agents that know how to do it. And so for them, they want to make a little bit more. And then on the investor side, it works really well when you need to give somebody more than a cash amount, but there's still enough of spread in between after all the closing costs. And so for me, when somebody works for me, and this is different for everyone, right? You can use a flat listing agent and they'll do it for cheaper, but I'm like the person that you come to where I do everything for you. And so I charge at a minimum 2.5%. I've gone up to like 4% on some of my novations. And then I always recommend a minimum of 2% on the other side, but I typically like to do like 2.5. And so I'm telling people like, I'll run numbers for you. We're going to take off, if it's 2.5, and then 1.5 for closing, then we're taking off 6.5 total. And then I still want there to be a pretty good spread between that and what you're paying the seller. I think where people get into trouble, and this isn't necessarily on purpose, it's just that like the way that the market has shifted recently, prices are going for less than their comps for no reason other than the market is going down. And so already, like, even if I said, like, I think I said for one of my investors like 2 months ago, I said 385, or I think I said 375 to 385. We got it under contract at like 368. So like 7,000 I thought. And that was based off of like comp. So it's like there's a bunch of other stuff that's like sitting active on the market. So it's not even like an obvious answer you can give to somebody. It's just conservative. Like I have seen a lot of investors on the novation side where they're walking away with like 5 to 10,000. Obviously most people want like 30 if they're getting a deal under contract. And so I think in those situations, I always say like, you just have to be more conservative. Like you're offering cash offer, but sometimes they give too much and then they end up making like almost nothing.
So what happens if I go in and I'll say we would use this strategy. Basically, it worked really well for a seller who didn't have money to fix up a house themselves. And usually like there's ways to do that. They're just not financially literate or very, very risk averse, but they're also not on like a super tight timeline. Like I don't need the money right now today. I would prefer to wait 1 to 2 months and make an extra 5 to 10 grand. My question though is like, if I made an offer to a seller, I was like, hey, I'm going to swap out your roof and we're going to paint this. We're going to do landscaping. I'm going to put like 20 grand in this property. Like, here's the offer. I'll make net on top of that. If it goes and like the property just doesn't sell, what happens at that point? Are you just, as the investor, are you like, should have ran your numbers better? I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You ever see that happen?
So no, because I don't typically have like, I would say that most of the investors that are coming to me are like pretty experienced, right? They're not just like hey, I'm looking at doing this, or like they've already done it before, or they're literate in terms of this stuff. So I never recommend doing work beforehand. So it started on accident where we had a property where we thought it was a brand new roof, and so we were like new thing, like everything's in good shape or whatever, and they went to do an inspection and they were like, wait, the roof is 20 years old. And the guy owned multiple properties. So we were like, oh, shoot. And so I called up Kevin Maxwell and I was like, at Panda Roofing, I was like, hey, we need this roof done. But here's the thing. I don't want it done until after the appraisal because I want to make sure the house appraises at value. And then I want to be able to get it done before closing. So we have a really short window. And so what he did is he got the permitting started. So we were able to provide permitting information to the appraiser to say, hey, already in process of it. So run your numbers subject to the roof being replaced. And then it worked out well. And so from that point forward, like I kind of recommend everything. Like if the house needs to be like in terms of mechanics, like I always want them to be done after appraisal before closing. And so we write our listing description as like, this will be done once we know that you're actually going to get financing.
Right.
There's still like,
that's good advice. That is such good advice.
Yeah. But then the problem is that like, if you're trying to come in and do like floors and paint, those are things that are cosmetic that are like really obvious to the eye. And so buyers are going to instantly like lower their price on that. And in those situations, like I just price it better, right? Like we have one right now that's under contract in Valrico. It's me and Anthony. He's the like the wholesaler on it technically. And it's like weird calling him wholesaler. He's the investor on it. And so the house is like full of stuff. Like when people walk the property, they're like, it does not show well. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's priced $40,000 less than the other one in the neighborhood. So take it or leave it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And you'll get so many people rude about it. But I think from doing it long enough, I've realized that like, as long as you price it right, like somebody's gonna pick it up. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that is a sweet strategy. And
I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. As a quick reminder, if you want to connect with me and chat about doing some fix and flip or ground up construction deals together, message me on Instagram at JaredDoesHardMoney or find me on Facebook and we'll get together. Now, back to the show.
Moving into our like ends of pod questions here. I appreciate you sharing everything on novations. In terms of getting to where you've gotten to at this point, is there one particular habit or quality that you feel has been particularly instrumental in your success?
Yeah, I think not settling when it wasn't working, right? So like I think some people get caught where they're like, I just got to keep pushing. And it's like, yeah, you should push for like 6 months. But after 6 months, if it's not working, like you have to shift. You have to be willing to like try something new. And so I feel like I was raised by a father who like worked at the same company for a really long time. Like my people didn't change jobs a lot. And so I don't know how I got comfortable with it, but people are like, how many jobs have you had? And I'm like 6 or 7. Like if you count all my iterations in real estate, like so many, like, you know what I mean? I went from like being like, I'm a flipper to I'm a door knocker to I'm a listing agent. And now I do everything. I do buyers and sellers. So it's like, as the market shifts, being willing to shift with it and like keep grinding. Like I feel like I'm finally now, I've been in real estate for over 3 years and I'm like, I feel like I can relax a little bit. I have money in my bank account. Like I'm not stressed about finances anymore. And it's because I didn't continue to door knock like door knocking drained me, wholesaling drained me. It wasn't meant for me. And like realizing that quick enough and then shifting.
Yeah.
But not too middle ground.
Yeah, I think, okay, so obviously, and with you knowing my story, I agree completely. Because I struggled in like, I probably failed at 4 or 5 different things, and you start to ask yourself, like, is this me? Like, am I just like not that good? And what I've kind of found is you need to focus on one thing at a time. But if that one thing at a time that you're focusing on doing, you either really don't enjoy it. It takes away your energy. Doesn't make you feel like you're doing the right thing ethically, like it drains your spirit. Or it doesn't, like it's not getting you the money that you want. You need to change. And I think that like window of feedback, if you're all in on something for 6 months and there's nothing, it's like, well, 1 year max. I probably stayed in wholesaling for too long, to be honest. But yeah, that's huge. And the longer you're in real estate, you realize the more ways there are to make money that you never even knew existed. It's like, dude, just pivot, but stay focused on your one thing.
Focus for 6 months. And then I think the ethical thing, like if that's a trigger, like if you're like, oh, leave quicker than 6 months if it's an ethical thing. But like with the door knocking, it's like we door knocked for 6 months full time and we didn't make our first sale until 6 months. And then it was like boom, boom, boom. And then I was like, okay, I've made the money, I've made the success, and now I'm done. Like I'm good. I'm leaving because I just don't want to be here anymore, not because it's like not meant for me.
Right. And has there been one system, tool, or software that's made a big difference in your business?
I don't think so. So I use Lofty now for my CRM for my brokerage, which I love. I was thinking about that earlier, but I do all my stuff, like almost all my stuff is referral based. Like I think I've only had one deal this year where I didn't have to give out a referral on it. And so like when we talk about social media and like me being drained by Instagram, that's just something that I'm willing to give up. Like I'm willing to give up 25% of my deal so that I don't have to post on Instagram every day. And I've just accepted that.
Fair enough. So
they're pretty sparse. Like I don't have that much, but I have a CRM. That's it.
Fair enough. What about your morning routine? Do you have a morning routine? And if so, what does it look like?
Yeah, I have my morning routine. So every morning I wake up and I do this like breath work coherence thing to try to get my heart rate down. I wake up with like anxiety. So I wake up and I'm like, go. Like getting my heart rate down, doing breath work. It's like 5 minutes. I stretch for 10 minutes and then I'll bike my dog to the park. And then I think my morning routine, I'm like looking at my planner right now. I do the same thing every day. So I feel like that's it, is like biking my dog. And one thing I've been working on is my phone's on do not disturb until 8:30. 7:30. Like I don't wake up early anymore. And so I just don't look at anything until 8:30. And then at that point, I'll start responding to stuff.
See, I could say technically same, but I'm talking 8:30 Eastern time and I live on Pacific. So it's like
That's tough.
6 a.m. phone calls. I'm like, dude, I'll be
No.
gone like 2 hours.
I want to move to Europe for this reason, so that by the time everyone's waking up, I've like had my full day and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to work. Like, let's go.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, when you get to the end of your day, how do you tell if you had a successful day or not?
So I'm like really big on writing everything down and like checking all my stuff off. And as long as I've hit everything that I can do, and then I've moved over the things that I don't have control over, right? Like I might have 10 things, but I'm relying on other people for half of them. And so as long as I've at least contacted every single person and like done all those things, then I sleep easy at night. So I write everything down. I make sure. I don't think I've never pushed over a task that I at least didn't touch in a way that I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when you get to the end of your life, how do you look back and be like, I crushed it, or dang, I left something on the table?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really important to make sure that I'm doing right by other people and like giving back to my community. And so now that I'm in a point where I feel really stable in what I'm doing, like I want to be able to give to my family too. So like it's really important for me to have a job where I'm able to like be present for my husband and kids. I think about that so much more than like real estate. Like I love real estate and it's a true passion of mine, but I feel like some people are just really like that's it, and that's not the case for me. Like I want to be able to give so much more to people outside of real estate, and be able to like just enjoy my people, right?
Yeah. Well, you know how they spell love, right? Time.
Yeah, I tell my husband that. I feel like
Yeah, that's like the typical thing, like me guilty, like that men don't do well.
Oh my God. I'm trying to be better. Like it's hard because we work from home together, and so sometimes he'll like say something. I think he's getting better at not talking to me if I look like I'm busy, because he'll say something to me and I'm like, oh my God, like he said something to me and I'm like, I'm not okay, and I walked away and then I came back and I was like, I am okay. Say that again. Sorry about that.
Oh man. Okay. Last question for you. It's a two-parter. One, do you feel like you're at where you want to be at in your life right now currently? And if not, what do you feel like is keeping you from getting to where you'd like to be?
Oh gosh. So I would say I'm happy. Like I'm so thankful of where I'm at right now, but it's not the end for me. Like for me, I really want to keep pushing it way farther in terms of how many deals I'm doing, the volume, like the sale price. Like I want to have higher volume in real estate. So I'm just trying to expand even more. Like I got really big on like accepting the fact that I'm an agent and not a wholesaler, and being like, I'm actually gonna, like, I feel like I kind of was like against it for a long time, and that's maybe why it took me so long to be like, this is what I do. And so now I've been doing like new development stuff and like trying to learn on that side. And so I'm trying to just go deeper on the things that I'm already doing, and be able to help my community at the same time by doing that. Like help my clients even more by being educated, and then maybe doing my own later. But right now it's just expanding the listing and buyer side of real estate.
That's awesome. Well, Caylee, thanks so much for joining the show. If anyone's like, this chick's awesome, I want to connect with her, where's the best place for them to find you?
Best place would be Instagram. So my Instagram handle is the Daily Caylee. So I made it.
Post though. No more
there.
posting.
I still go on to look at my explore page. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining. That wraps up this episode of the Lever Up Your Life podcast.
Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Lever Up Your Life podcast. I trust that you'll take and apply at least one word of wisdom so you too can lever up your life. In fact, what I'd like you to do is share in the comments the single best piece of advice you got from this episode. If you want to make sure to catch the next episode, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you'd like to see previously recorded episodes, you can head to my channel at Jared Does Hard Money or find our episodes on any major podcast distribution platform. If you know of anyone who you feel would make for a great guest for this podcast, let us know about them in the comments and we'll reach out. With that, we'll catch you for the next episode of the Lever Up Your Life podcast.